We're back.
Season 2.
Redvolution Rampage is what you're listening to.
It's going to be a fun season.
It is. And we've got so much to talk about. We've been out of it for pretty much the entire offseason. And now with everything that's been happening, we're here to talk to you about it. We're here to analyze it. And we're here to break it down.
Let's go, everybody. Get in.
All right. More after this. All right, Caniacs. What should we talk about first? You know what? Let's start from the beginning, right? The draft.
All right. Yeah, it was a fun day. We were all there. We were all having fun
at the draft party. And pretty much exactly what we wanted and expected to happen happened. And we drafted second overall, Andrei Sveshnikov.
The Rad Russian is now ours.
Indeed.
And a lot of people are saying that he will open the season on the main roster.
I mean, I'm saying he's opening the season on the first or second line. Definitely happening.
Yeah, Andre is definitely NHL ready. I mean, if you watch his highlights just from the developmental leagues to OHL, all that, he is a force that we need. He has the characteristics of Jeff Skinner with his speed and agility, but he also has that physical aspect about him.
He fits exactly what our new head coach wants.
Yeah.
Physical play with the ability to bully the puck into the net.
Speaking of that new head coach, we got a fan favorite that's finally the head honcho. Bill Peters out. He's off to Calgary. Bring in Rob Brindamore.
So there's a lot of worry about Rob Brindamore, right? Because he's never coached at the head coach level, right? He was the assistant coach last year, really just being promoted. Now that brings a lot of danger, right?
It really does. I mean, a lot of people have had that before. I mean, when we almost did the exact same thing with Kirk Muller, and we saw how that lasted.
All right, but here's where I'm going to say he's going to be different, right? Not only does he bring a ton of expertise and a ton of knowledge and wealth, he knows the players. Some of them, Williams, he's been on the same team with, right? Others, he's been in that assistant coaching role for a long time. So there's a lot of things that he's going to bring to the table that are going to be awesome. But it's also one of the reasons why Jeff Skinner was allowed to be traded away with that little return. We'll talk about that in a bit here. And I'm going to tell you guys why I think it was actually a good trade. I know you're yelling at me. Just calm down. I swear I'll explain it.
What do you mean it's a good trade, you liar?
All right. Sveshnikov, amazing draft pick. I mean, the rest of the draft went pretty smoothly, but pretty much everyone knew what was happening. Everyone saw that pick a mile away. Canes were not cowards, and they drafted him.
And not only did they draft him, they had promotional stuff ready. Like, they knew he was coming. They knew that they were drafting him. They had promotional posters, videos, everything ready on draft night to show the fans. And not only did they have the promotional material for just drafting him, they had him in brand new merch. The new third jersey is back.
It is. The third jersey took a 1-year hiatus, and now they're back. And this time with the correct hurricane warning flag and not just a tropical depression.
Yes. If anybody has not seen the new third jersey, it is a black.
Then you're probably not listening to us.
Yeah, but it's still a great jersey. I mean, I've heard people say their complaints about it, saying the logo's too big and blah blah blah. But overall, it's the correct hurricane flag. It's 2 flags on a hockey stick. In between the flags, you have a nice reference to North Carolina with the state outline.
There's a lot more North Carolina. So the old flags had the triangle depicting the triangle area, but now they're reaching out. They're saying that the Raleigh, Cary, Durham area is not enough, and that's excellent because
our farm team's in Charlotte.
Hockey team. It's a professional hockey team. We have fans that come from Virginia to go to every single game.
We have former Thrasher fans coming up to see our games.
Right. So why not expand that role. Now, this time it's just to all of North Carolina State with the North Carolina flag ghosted on the shoulders, which looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on mine to show up. I pre-ordered it literally the moment they had it up. I'm still waiting on them to come out, but they will be soon.
And I pre-ordered it 3 seconds afterwards.
Yeah, we are ready. We are ready. And if you haven't seen Omar on social media lately, we are ready for the season. We got our stick flag ready to go. It's all going through.
Yep, because we are part of Red-Eyed Rowdies, and we are going to be making a lot of noise.
Sponsor drop.
During the season. So if you guys haven't joined Red-Eyed Rowdies, interested in being part of that supporter culture and really bringing that, intense hockey and soccer vibrance to PNC Arena, check them out on Facebook, check them out on Twitter, Red-Eyed Rowdies. Now, let's talk about the big trade that came literally later that day. Actually, it was early the next day, but yeah.
It was during, I think it was halfway through the third round or something like that. But unfortunately, goodbye Elias Lindholm, goodbye Noah Hannafin.
Right. So is it sad to lose Hannafin and Lindholm? Yes. However, who am I more heartbroken over? Definitely Hannafin.
No dip, Hannafin. You have his jersey right over there.
Yes, I have an All-Star jersey signed by Hannafin, and it might be one of 2 in existence. But I wish him luck in Calgary. He's going to get Bill Peters again.
And not only Bill Peters, he's going to get Elias Lindholm and
Derek Ryan.
Honestly, I'm not surprised we lost Derek Ryan.
I mean, I think Derek Ryan was never going to play well under Moore's lineage and his style. Derek Ryan does not have that physicality. So yeah, and of course he's going to go straight to where Bill Peters is because they have that connection. They have that relationship, which is why Ryan got so much play time when he shouldn't have last season.
Yeah, and for everybody who doesn't know, which you pretty much living under a rock at this point, Bill Peters actually resigned as the head coach of the Hurricanes to take the Calgary job.
Which is excellent for us. That was really the best case scenario, in my opinion.
We didn't have to pay out the rest of his contract.
Yeah, we didn't have to pay out the rest of his contract. He bowed out gracefully. It was a graceful transition. There was no animosity, and it really helped the Canes front office.
Yeah, but the other main departure for the Hurricanes, that brought some animosity among the fans when Chuck Caton was let go.
So there's a lot of movement, right, in the front office, kind of the staff, the coaching staff as well. Not because Chuck Caton left, and he's a legend, granted. He is amazing at his job, granted. Honestly, he was not getting his due, right? And it wasn't his fault that he wasn't pulling in his weight, but really, there's no one you can put in that role to pull in that weight, which is why doing away with the radio broadcast entirely was the right decision. It was a business decision. Now, do I really want to listen to Forsland and Tripp on the radio? Maybe. Forsland's excellent at play-by-play color commentary. Tripp, maybe.
Tripp, if you're listening to this, we love you, but please step up, please.
If I have to hear the word penetrate again.
Yeah. I mean, Chuck, he's been doing it for years. I absolutely love the dude. It's just a lot of fans are starting to get annoyed. I still like him because I know the dude, but
it's a business thing. It was a business decision. Preference. It was a business decision at the end of the day. It wasn't because he wasn't doing his job. It was because the job wasn't doing it. So it wasn't that he wasn't doing his job.
Viably, it was actually losing money.
Right. And honestly, this actually should free him now to pursue some other sport or some other broadcast or some other role. So he should be able to pull in what he's worth now. Yeah. And it was really a good decision taken for him in order to give him really what he's owed.
Yeah. If the Hurricanes ever put a non-player up in the rafters, it needs to be Chuck Caton.
And I don't think we're ever going to get another radio broadcast. It's just the way technology's developing. By the time the Canes get really back on that radar again, that level.
True radio for sports is almost gone. As a radio person myself, I can personally say true radio in its original sense is almost gone. I mean, you can't just do pure radio anymore. With iHeartRadio, the app that everyone has, they own almost half of the radio stations in America.
I mean, it's not only that, it's just the way we consume media today is different. I mean, I
Streaming
watch
took over.
Yeah, I watch baseball games on my phone. Like I don't listen to the radio broadcast as much as I'm a huge Yankee fan. Stop booing.
I didn't do anything.
I'm talking to the listeners. Yankee broadcast on radio is amazing, and it's legendary, especially when they win. You know, the Yankee. You know, it's. But I'd rather watch it. I want to see every pitch. I want to see where the pitchers are going. I want to see it. All right, same thing with hockey.
Granted, if you're driving, don't do that.
Granted, if you're driving, don't do that. But how many people are still tuning in? Even then, like XM radio, it's harder now. The time of radio is dying. That's okay. Let's give these legends what they're due, and hopefully new generations will be able to pick up the slack.
Yeah. But with these trades still, like with all these people going to Calgary, it's almost like a mini Hurricanes team moving to Calgary.
But which Hurricanes team is it? A good Hurricanes team or a bad Hurricanes team? Because think about it.
With Elias and Derek Ryan, most of the a good chunk of last season, it would have been the mediocre team. I wouldn't say the terrible team, the mediocre team, because they had some games where they were really good at one day, and then the next day they were just awful.
Indeed. And, you know, Hannafin, good loss, but Hamilton. My man Hamilton.
Hamilton.
Dougie's going to bring in so much more value. Now, true, the limit on Hannafin is so high, right? But he's not there yet. Sorry, Hamilton is.
There we go.
Yeah, so Hamilton, he's going to bring so much of that scoring, defensive capability. Michael Ferland, he'll fill in that third line spot, maybe even move up to second. We're not certain.
Ferland is that big presence we desperately needed.
And what's great is that we got Fox, right? Now, Fox wasn't willing to sign with Calgary. He's an American player. Maybe, more likely, we'll get him to sign with us. If not, we'll trade him to a team that he's most likely to sign for. But as he plays longer and gets closer to graduating college, his value is going to shoot straight up.
I believe Fox will end up in our minor league system eventually. I don't know how fast he'll do that because, like we said, he's an American hockey player that's in college, and his team is up for a national championship this year. They are really good. It's just a matter of time.
I have no qualms with him going the Hannafin route and winning a championship in Boston, and then sorry, he's not in Boston, but whatever college he's in, I can't bring it out the top of my head, but winning a championship there. And then coming straight into, half season in Charlotte, and then being pulled up if he's that good.
It's all a matter of time with some of these players. But I believe, at the bottom of my heart, we won that trade. We got what exactly we needed. Elias Lindholm, he was never going to re-sign, not with the contract negotiations going sour. So he was never going to re-sign. We got
players that fit into Brendan Moore's style. That's one important thing. And we got a prospect who is going to fit into that style and actually has a very good limit
upside
to his potential. So speaking of players that fit into his style, right? We signed Calvin DeHaan, or the Calvin DeHaan solo. Anyways, but
maybe he has DeHaans.
Maybe, but he chose Carolina. Right. Maybe he chose Carolina because we have amazing beer, and he apparently is a beer snob.
Well, we got beer for days.
We do. There are more microbreweries in Carolina than Europe.
Thank you, Asheville and Raleigh.
For real. You literally can't throw a dart on the map of Carolina without there being a microbrewery within maybe 20 miles max.
I mean, the Hurricanes, they had their draft party at the Raleigh Tap. What was it? The Raleigh Tap House Beer Garden, where they had over 500 beers on tap. They have the Guinness World Record for the most beers on tap.
Yeah, think about it. The Bulls, they have their own beer. Ballparks are brewing their own beer. Everyone's brewing beer. Apparently, it's the place to brew beer. And I can't blame him if he wants to get closer to beer.
The other thing that he was really interested in is how good our defensive core is. That's something that we've had for 2 years now. Is that really young defensive core that is just spot on.
And we just made it better. I mean, think about it. Even if we keep Falk, right? The pair-ups are, you got Slavin with Hamilton. That's a match made in hockey heaven. And then you have DeHaan matched up with Brett Pesce, maybe. And then you get TVR and Falk to backstop. Even if Falk still is last year's Falk instead of the Falk that we want him to be. Yeah. I think he was hurt all of last year. And that break he took in the end, I think he's going to come back so much better and so much ready to play with an excellent defensive core. And he wants to be on the lines with the likes of DeHaan and Hamilton. He's going to play so much better, is my expectation. And with him and TVR backs up in that third pairing, it's going to be incredible. Even if he doesn't, you still have Hayden Fleury bringing up the rear.
You have Hayden Fleury, and then you have a flurry of extra people down in Charlotte that are...
I mean, Jake Bean's coming up into Charlotte. I mean, you've got so many excellent players. I honestly, and maybe this is a bit of bias, but I think Carolina Hurricanes currently have the best defense in the league.
I wouldn't disagree with you. They have depth. They have number. They have what you need. It's now, do they perform?
And I think they will. I think Calvin Holland came here because he wants to perform. I think Hamilton is happy with his movement. I think he wants to prove. I think he's sick of Calgary. I think he wants to come with the team and actually be. I think all these players coming together and realizing, hey, we could be something great. And they will perform because they want to be a part of the team that is great. And because of that mentality is spread across so amazingly perfectly with between players like Slavin and Pesci, it's going to just be incredible. And then Brind'Amour's going to have that ability to switch pairings out and really bring in everyone's ability. Hey, we need to score right now. You bring in Slavin, you bring in Hamilton, you let them do their thing. We need more defensive backstops. You get that Pesci in there. You throw in DeHaan, let him do his thing. It's going to be incredible.
It will be very incredible to just watch, even if it is on TV. And the one thing that I'm excited to see that Brind'Amour is absolutely wanting is he wants physicality back for the Canes. That is something we very lacked last year. We were dead last in fights and checks during the games.
You could name who was our most physical player?
Our most physical player? Oh, we still have him. And he's by far my favorite player from last year.
That's right. Brock McGinn.
Brock McGinn. We need to get Mentor to record him saying that name because I can't do that justice.
Brock McGinn.
We either need to get him or call Paul Heyman. One of the two.
I don't think Paul Heyman's going to answer.
It's worth a shot.
That's true. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Yeah. It's worth a shot, but Brock McGinn, Dougie Hamilton, and Michael Furland, I'm going to give those three guys a name. Like, those three guys, I'm going to give them a group name. I'm calling them the Brute Squad.
You can call them the Brute Squad?
They go out every game, and they are physical. They ram you into the wall. They stand where they need to be in front of the net and get the dirty puck. They are what we need. The dirty, physical guys.
Do you know who else is physical and just a beast? Zykov. Yeah, and guess what?
He's up here.
He's up here, and he's here to stay. He just got re-signed, right? And his re-signing is NHL. He doesn't have any AHL.
He's a one-way contract.
One-way contract. He doesn't have a two-way contract, so that's great. And you know who else has a potential? Lucas Walmark, right? He got re-signed for a 2-year deal. First year is a two-way contract, but his second year is a one-way. That means he has the potential of being up in Raleigh this year because he's definitely going to be up in Raleigh next year.
Yeah, Walmart has a lot of potential. He's been up in PNC a few times. He's been up in PNC, and every time he's been up there, he does what he's supposed to do.
He does.
The one I'm absolutely ecstatic right now is Zykov, because he's a player that we have seen perform at a very high standard in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Now he needs to do it on this side, and the first time we get to see it is that first preseason game. And I want to see him go out there, be the guy in the dirty hole, pick up 1 or 2 goals during 3-4 preseason games.
He just needs to pick up where he left off last year. Because last year when he came up to the NHL, he did amazing. He scored right off the bat twice, thrice, and he just kept going. He was absolute beast. And you know what?
He's what we need. He is what Tuomo Ruutu used to be for this team. Tuomo Ruutu back in like the early days of 2009, 2008, all that. He was the guy that got in front of the net, who did what he had to do. It's either Tuomo Ruutu or Scott Walker. He's that guy.
So right now we discussed that the defense is incredibly stout, right? And we got to move it on to the offense. And the offense looks healthy, looks amazing. So you got Aho, who I believe he's going to be moved over to center, match up Turbo and freaking Svetch, right? And you go into the second line, you're going to have Jordan Stahl. You're going to match him up with Probably Williams on one side and
I would say Brock.
Zeke on the other side.
I would say Brock with Jordan.
You think, you know what? Brock and Jordan last year did do an amazing thing. So you would say Brock, Jordan, and Zeke off.
Jordan, and Zeke off. Williams, I actually think, needs to stay with Aho.
You think you can put Williams up on the top line? I was going to put Svech up there with Turbo.
Svech, at the beginning of the season, needs to be second or third line. At the beginning of the season until he produces.
Okay, that's fair. I switch him out with Williams as things produce. Mm-hmm. I think Williams is going to be wearing a letter.
Oh, no doubt. But will it be a C or an A is the big question.
The smart decision would give him a C.
The smart decision would be give him the C. But the main question is, what does Rod think? And nobody knows that right now. I think
Rod's going to give him the C just because Rod's played with him, just because he wants to squash this whole co-captaincy thing, because you can't give either Jordan or Falk the C. If Falk stays, Williams gets the C. So that way, it's not like, oh, you gave Jordan the C or you gave Falk the C. He's going to squash. First of all, it's going to be a single captain. We know this for a fact. Just to put down this whole conspiracy theory or whatever you want to call it between Falk and Jordan, they're both going to get A's, and Williams is going to get the C.
And now we don't have to worry about that third A.
Right, and last season, one of our letter wearers is now moving on, and that is Jeff Skinner. Now, I know, people are upset. You lose Skinner to Buffalo, and I favorably say Buck Buffalo.
You got to keep it PC at least a little bit.
All right, but I truly believe that in a post-John Tavares world, that was a good trade.
Oh, it was. I mean, in the world of John Tavares, if you don't know what happened with him, the Islanders tried for almost 2 years to get him to re-sign a contract. Nothing happened, and then they tried to trade him at the trade deadline before his contract ran out, and nothing happened. So the Islanders got nothing out of it. They got nothing for Tavares, and now the team that was borderline playoffs from last year is going to be bottom of the East.
Yeah, even with Trowski in there, of course. Now a lot of the media, the level of the Canadian players, of course, right? So they're gonna put the Islanders above us. But here's what I think is gonna happen. I think Islanders are just gonna smoke out there. They didn't really pick up anything good in the offseason. A lot of their re-signeries left. How Calvin Hahn came to us. Like
most of their budding youth group that they had last year is gone.
Right, and then I mean they still have Matthew Barzal in that, and he's an excellent player.
But
I think he's going to be their top player. But again, I can name so many players on the Canes that can outperform him.
Just having Barzal is not enough. I mean, Skinner going to Buffalo is a good pickup for Buffalo, and it's a smart decision on our part because contract negotiations with Skinner just like Lindholm, we're going nowhere.
And here's the thing: Skinner never was going to fit in Brindy's style at all. He is a pure offensive player with no defensive talent.
He is almost a copy of Nathan Gerbe.
Yeah, and in a team that really, especially like last season with goaltending with a huge question mark, a player like Skinner is more of a liability. Because, yeah, sure, he scored, but he also allowed scoring. Maybe
His
a little too much.
Minus was the worst on him, and Falks were the worst on the team.
Yeah, and like I said, I thought Falk was hurt all of last year. I met him early in the season, around December last year. He didn't look right. He just looked a little too tired. I think he was injured. I think he's been hurt, and I think that he did. I'm a big man. I can take care of myself, and he didn't want the medical attention, or he took the minimum medical attention, and then eventually someone said, "Hey, look, you need to go on the IR. Don't worry about it." And he went, and he spent the last 2 months of the season on injuries, or let other players come up and show off their case.
It was a smart decision on his part to go on IR because when players are hurt and they know they're hurt, but they're a tough guy, like especially what Falk is, as he is quote unquote the face of the franchise, he knew he had to come in because he had to be there because he drew tickets. But if you're hurt, don't play. It's simple as that. If you're hurt and you know you're hurt, don't try to tough it out. We have guys to replace you. Especially on defense, we have guys to replace you for as long as you need to get healthy again.
Right, and honestly, sure, he's been in and out with his play. He had that hat trick in the game against the Kings. He can still play. Question is, what will his role want to be, right?
His role needs to be, as of right now, with all the veterans that we actually have on defense, it needs to be, I'm not the leader anymore. I am a contributor.
Right. Let's take that freaking pressure off his shoulders, right? And let him really fill in that third pairing with TVR. TVR is an excellent. They re-signed him with an amazing deal. It was an excellent re-signing. Glad we're keeping him. And between those two, I think Hulk's going to refine his spirit, his play spirit. I think he's going to refine himself, and I think he's going to be a shoo-in for all-star pick come, next January.
Yeah.
That's my expectation for him. High expectation, sure, but I think he's up for it.
But here's the thing. A high expectation should be for that entire team, because we haven't made the playoffs for over 9 years now. So putting high expectations on this team is what's expected.
Right, and really what's going to happen, and I think for expectations of the team reaching that playoffs, I think it's going to start with goaltending, right? Now, we were the mockery of the league last year when between Ward and Darling, we just couldn't stop a beach ball.
Yeah.
It was awful, right?
Yeah.
Darling
really
got
was.
booed off the ice several times. I mean, Ward got booed off the ice several times. Ward's now walked. He's now in Chicago.
We will miss you, Ward. If you do retire, Ward, please come back to Raleigh. Just sign a one-day contract and retire a Kane. You deserve that.
He does, and I think maybe some time away from Carolina might help him. For all we know, both Ward and Darling will play amazing this year, and the real culprit will turn out to be the guy who moved to Calgary and watched Calgary's goaltending dwindle. I don't know what it is, but that man has been toxic goaltending, and I'm talking, of course, about Bill Peters. Right? We've seen what he did to Eddie Lack. We've seen what he's done to all these other good goalies. Ward, you name it. Now, last season when Darling came in, he was out of shape, and he
Not
was
anymore.
stressed about moving from Chicago, family, all that. Got it. But now I think Darling's ready to take up the mantle and be the true number one goalie. Now he does have to compete, right? The Canes did sign Peter Mrazek.
And
he was
that's
a
good
Detroit
sign.
starter at one point. He got traded over to the Phillies last season.
He's destroyed every year. Every time we played him last year, whether it was in Philly or Detroit, he destroyed us. We could not score against him.
Right, and it was pretty tough. So here's what I think what's going to happen, right? Both of them will have elevated play, right? Darling will become the number one goalie. I think he's going to have an excellent year. I think everyone who really, truly knows him, that has been with him from the beginnings, before he went to, when he was growing up in Chicago and all that, they say that last year has been a weird year for him, an outlier per se, and the numbers back that up.
Oh, massively. It was a weird year for him. I mean, the dude was going through so much emotionally, not only leaving Chicago, he was also dealing with his mom having a bout with cancer, which we wish her all the best on.
Of course.
And Darling just didn't have a good year overall. I mean, if you had those kind of emotional things and then your performance is not the way you want it, things are going to fall apart very quickly. It's just like quicksand. If one thing goes wrong, the next thing goes wrong, and
It
the
all
next
falls
thing,
apart.
Yeah. This year, if you have not seen this dude since the end of the season, you are missing something. This guy is absolutely ripped.
He is jacked.
He's been here all summer.
He's been hitting the gym like a madman, right? The man has a mission, right? I think Peter Mrazek being there gives him a good push. He no longer has to stay in the shadow of Cam Ward, right?
He is the goalie.
Right now. I think Scott Darling is my damn goalie. Hashtag Scott Darling's my damn goalie. And I think we're going to see amazing play out of him. I think we're going to all forget last season. And I think as he takes us into these Stanley Cup playoffs and leads us to glory, we're all going to just regret all the nasty things we've ever said about him last season. And I think really that man is going to have a place in all our hearts. If he doesn't already, that ginger beard is really growing on me, has always been.
If I had to choose a player to get their jersey, I'd be torn right now. I would either be with Brock or Darling. I mean, I absolutely love Brock McGinn, but Scott Darling, I've met him personally. I've met him while at PNC Arena. I've met him while out out and about in Raleigh. The dude is the nicest guy you will ever meet. He is such a bro. But when he enters that arena, he is all profession, all ready to go. And this whole offseason, as soon as the season ended in April, he went back home to Chicago for maybe a month. And then ever since then, he's been back in Raleigh with the strength and conditioning coach, with the goaltending coaches, and he's been working every single day. He is ready.
I think that we are going to be so happy with his abilities this season, and everyone's going to be surprised and it'll be like, whoa, what happened? He was so terrible last year, but he's great. Me and you are going to laugh and you'll be like, hey, you remember when we talked about this in very first episode of the season, how we said that Darling's going to come out of the brink and he's going to be incredible, like the phoenix from the fire. I mean, that is his symbol, right?
Oh, I'm already laughing from some of the stuff. We had an unaired episode of the podcast that Omar turned into an article for one of his many groups.
That's because the file got corrupted, fellas. Save your stuff.
Yeah.
Double save your stuff and triple save it.
But don't worry. If you want to know what happened in that podcast, just read Omar's article. Which one did you put that on?
So it was on Puck Pros, but basically what we talked about was pretty much almost everything that happened, right?
Yeah,
we
drafted, called almost everything.
Skinner leaving.
The only thing we missed was Falk. The only thing we missed was Falk staying. That was the only thing we missed.
That's if he stays. I mean, the offseason hasn't started yet. I mean, the preseason has started yet.
Yeah, we got
3 weeks away.
We got 3 weeks. September 19th is their first home preseason game, and that's against Tampa Bay.
Right.
But the one that everyone's waiting for was the free game that sold out in less than 12 hours.
Right, against Nashville.
The only reason that sold out in less than 12 hours is because the dang website crashed. Like, that game should have been sold out in less than 4. But the dang website crashed.
Yeah, they crashed so much because they weren't expecting that many people to want to, see.
Go to a preseason game. But, oh, my gosh, the turnout is
Ever
amazing.
since Tom Dundon took over, I think there's so many amazing things that are happening in that arena and are happening for the team, and I'm really happy with the results. Like, a lot of people are like, well, he's meddling, he's an owner, he should, but I haven't seen any negatives.
I haven't really
Unless you're talking about the Skinner trade, which I doubt he had any real hand in it.
That was Don Waddell, and Don, as a GM right now, is doing really well.
He is, and the thing is, I think he's been very careful with all the trades and everything. I mean, we won that trade with Calgary. Yeah, sure, he traded Skinner for a prospect and 3 draft picks, but here's the thing about those 3 draft picks, right?
In the
post-Tavares world, right, we can always pick up better players, and we've got
we have right now, I think, 12 draft picks in the next draft.
Right, and so we've got plenty of
It is ridiculous how much chances we have.
Right, and not only that, I mean, think about it. I mean, who's on the trade block right now, right? You've got Erik Karlsson, you've got Max Pacioretty, you've got so many other players, right? And
I'm making a prediction right now. Karlsson will be gone from Ottawa by the trade deadline. He will not make it to the end of the season.
He doesn't want to stay there. He made it clear that he's not going to extend with the Canadian team. He made that picture very clear. I've talked to him during the All-Star game. From everything that he said, he wants to go somewhere warm. However, right now, I doubt he's going to go to Florida or any of the Florida teams because the Panthers have his arch nemesis, the whole girlfriend-wife drama thing.
Yeah, and Tampa tried so very hard, and they couldn't get it done.
But because I think he put them on his no-trade list because of proximity to the Panthers. And
let's just bring him to the South.
He wants kind of
keep him away from the Capitals. I mean, they're already
people are laughing at us, but here's the catch, right? We have draft picks, we have amazing prospects, and we have that cap space.
We do have that cap space, and also as a word of reference, congratulations, Washington, on your Stanley Cup, but it will not last. I am sorry. With you losing your head coach and some of your key players, it will not last.
We'll see. I mean, Washington is always going to have Ovechkin. I see them going to the playoffs. I don't see them going very far. And that's where we're going to lean into our next segment here. We're going to talk about season outlooks, right? just let's talk about the Metro real quick. Let's go from the top to the bottom here. We just discussed Washington and how I think they're going to make the playoffs. They definitely are going to make the playoffs.
I don't see them making the top 3 of the division.
You think they're coming in a wild card?
They're coming in as a wild card in my mind. If Braden Holtby stays healthy and they do what they have to, they might be able to. Last year they were so good because they had a goalie and a backup goalie who just worked so well. They just worked so well together. And now the backup is gone to Colorado.
Right.
And now Holtby's by himself with, I don't even know who their backup is.
I think they're bringing
anymore.
someone up from their minor
from the Hershey Bears.
I mean, Hershey Bears did well last year as well, so we don't know how that's going to look like.
Not as good as Charlotte.
I think they're going to be either third or a wild card, but really, I think they're not going to get very far into the playoffs. Now, let's discuss we talked about Washington.
I say the top team in the division this year is going to be Pittsburgh.
You think Pittsburgh?
I think Pittsburgh. They picked up a few key people that they missed last year,
right?
And as long as injuries stay away from the main core, which is Malkin and Crosby, they will finish 1-2.
Here's my thing about Pittsburgh. Ready for this? Here's the reason I don't think they're going to be top team in Metro. They got a question mark, and the question mark that we've experienced: goaltending.
That is true. Without Fleury there,
right? We saw it last year, right?
Yeah.
And then Matt Murray came in. They found some quick, plugins, and they took advantage of teams like us, and they took advantage of.
The thing with Murray is he's so right. Last year he had so many injuries; it's starting to scare people.
Right, and I don't think Murray's gonna return back to form just because he's just always hurt and he seems to never really, fully heal. I think he might be forced and rushed, and I don't think he's really gonna come back to form.
But they will still be good. They will still be a good team.
They're gonna make the playoffs, no questions asked. But will they be top team? I don't know. No, I'm gonna put 2 teams down real quick, and I know they're not gonna make the playoffs. All right. Islanders, Rangers.
Rangers. I'm sorry, guys. You are going to be bottom of the barrel again this year.
Rangers are going to be rebuilding, and they're going to be happy with that, right? They're going to tank.
Well, there will be one person who won't be happy about that. Henrik Lundqvist. He will not be happy about that.
Look, he's not going to be happy with it. And sorry, but you don't have the supporting cast. You lost Nash. You lost Riley. You lost all those guys, and you're really not getting it back. Even Henrik Lundqvist isn't playing his best hockey anymore. I think he's over that hill right now, and I think, his golden era, his Stanley Cup prime time is past him.
Yeah. Lundqvist is that one person that I'm really upset that doesn't have a Stanley Cup. He is so good that for him not to have a Stanley Cup is almost treason.
It's going to be
a rough year for those two.
Yeah,
definitely. But it's going to be a rough year for almost the entire Metropolitan Division. I think the whole Eastern Conference is going to be flipped this year. So, last year, the Metropolitan had almost had 5 playoff teams. It's going to be flipped this year. I think the Atlantic will almost have 5 playoff teams this year.
So, who's gotten better than last year? Philadelphia.
Yeah, that is indeed true. They did pick up some good people. They got JVR.
Right. And I think Philadelphia might be they're going to be a top 3 team, right? Along maybe with Pittsburgh, and I think us. I think it's going to be us 3 combating, because Columbus Blue Jackets, they look like, they got stuck in the mud. They lost a player. They picked up a player. They ended with the wild card last season, I think.
And then they had basically a player feud this offseason. Tortorella literally went on social media to bash one of his players.
Right, and really the 3 teams I see missing the playoffs are going to be the Islanders, the Rangers, and the Devils.
New Jersey is going to be interesting for me. New Jersey, they had a great back half of the season last year.
Right.
But they lost a lot.
Right, and just...
they still have Boyle. Boyle is still the feel-good player of the year.
Right, he's their feel-good player, and he's an excellent human being. but he's getting up there, you know?
Yeah, he's getting up there, and the goaltending, again, injury-prone. Schneider, he missed a large chunk of last year.
No, if you look at Atlanta, I think the Metro is still going to be the owner of the 2 wild card, just because Atlanta is just... Sorry, not Atlanta. The Atlantic is just looking terrible. I mean, Florida, sure, they got Mike Hoffman, the arch nemesis of Eric Carlson, whose name I couldn't remember a little while back. But yeah, they really, other than that, they really didn't pick up anything, right? Detroit is just, I mean, they're stuck in the mud. They're rebuilding, right? But really, honestly, if you look at Atlantic, Montreal it's a circus. Ottawa is a massive circus. Buffalo, I don't think they did enough to creep out from the bottom tier. I mean, yeah, they picked up Skinner. Yeah, they picked up St. Louis's goaltender.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But yeah,
no, Jake Allen's staying. That's the other guy. Anyways, I thought we were going to pick him up. I'd rather we had picked him up, but
they also had the number 1 pick, and he's probably going to be on the.
Rasmus Dahlin is going to be on there, but
he's still not enough. He's not enough to solve their problems.
It's not enough, and I think we'll see because they lost O'Reilly, and they lost so many other players. It's going to be a wild. It's going to be a wild season. We'll see how everything shapes out. Right now, we are underestimated in the eyes of everyone. No one sees us coming into the playoffs. So it's like, it's Carolina, boo, right? Yeah. And they're really putting us away.
People are still, even with our new ownership, they're still doing the argument of they need to move to Quebec. And I'm like, have you seen what Dundon has done?
Okay, not only what Dundon's, how much money he's throwing into PNC Arena, how much money he's throwing into this team. Just even if he didn't do that, it's a 7-year contract. Where he has to, the contract says that he has to keep team in Carolina for 7 years, so there's no moving it.
And he's already in contract talks with Centennial Authority to do expansions of the arena. He's already the entire upper deck. He did new seats.
Right, he put new seats in the PNC Arena. He is building a new practice facility for the team. He's moving stuff downstairs to make. Room like practice like stretching areas and stuff for the players. You don't do that to a team you're about to pick up and move.
Yeah, the Hurricanes, they were in the black last year. They made money last year. They will be well into the black this year.
Yeah, but making money just means you get to spend more money. I mean, it's a sports team. You're not really. I mean,
and with his idea of getting that new scoreboard, we need the money.
Right. So that's our outlook. I think the Hurricanes are going to move into the top 3. We're going to make the playoffs. And I think we are going to make a serious run for the Cup. Darlin's been there before. You got so many guys who's been there before.
Williams.
Darlin, Brindy, Williams.
Has Dougie? I don't think he has.
No, but
he's been in the playoffs.
He's hungry for it. So we've got hungry players. You got excellent players. Underrated players, Aho, Teravainen. I think Svech is going to come out and just show us amazing stuff. Yeah. Svech is going to be the next Ovechkin, kind of just an amazing player who knows his value. I think we've stumbled upon an excellent forte of players, an excellent combination of between good luck and excellent offseason moves. Sure, yeah, we lost Skinny. Sure, yeah, we traded away Hannafin. But I think the returns will pay off. Cliff Poo, the prospect who came in for Skinner, unknown. He'll get his chance to play in Charlotte. We'll see what he's all about.
If not, he'll play with the Everblades.
Right. If not, he'll play with the Everblades. Either way, we'll get to see. I mean, even if Darling and Mrazek don't work out, we still have Ned, right? Ned is playing.
And Booth.
And Booth still needs some time. I think Ned, if anyone's going to be ready to play, Ned will be the one to step up, and I think he's more ready. I think one more season is just going to make him that much better. So, what do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen this season? Let us know.
Make sure you stay with us on social media. We are going to events very, very soon. We're going to Canes events. We got the 5K coming up very soon. If
you guys haven't signed up for the Canes 5K, make sure you do sign up and join the Red-Eyed Rowdies. I, Omar Dulgawad, will be the team captain, and I will be there to run and try to win this thing. I'm going to bring my Canes flag.
Man, who made you team captain?
I did.
Oh, man. That makes sense, though.
Yes, it does.
Don't worry. I'll be there, too.
We'll have a lot of awesome stuff out there.
And then we got the
stickers,
free game.
And we're going to be there at the free game with the Red Eyed Rowdies. We'll try to move into our spot in 318. If they don't open the upper bowl, we'll just make a lot of noise somewhere else.
Yeah,
And
it'll be a lot of fun.
It's going to be so much fun. The season is going to be incredible, I think.
Come say hi to us.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't bite. He does. But I don't.
Hey.
Just kidding. But it's going to be amazing. So I'm excited because I've said like amazing 1,800 times in the last 20 minutes. And
Come on, Trip.
Right, for real. So, yeah. What do you guys think is going to happen? Let us know. Join us on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook with the Red Eyed Rowdies. Red Eyed Rowdies now have their own website.
We got our own website. Join us on the private Facebook group. We have a lot of things coming out.
It's going to be so much fun. All right. So, what do you think about everything that's happening in the offseason? Let us know. You have questions for our next pod? Hit us up. You can leave them on our Twitter. You can leave them on our Instagram. You can leave them on wherever you find this podcast. Be it on Google, be it on SoundCloud. We are everywhere. And don't forget to join Red Eyed Rowdies if you want the supporter culture. So, let us know. Until then, we will see you guys.